Welcome back to the Spire Cast, humans. I'm Opim, and we're going to talk about Act 1 today, and like the difference between underdogs and overgrowth.
Hello, I'm Jason.
What's up? It's me, Nave.
Hello, it's your fellow human, VM.
Okay, so I think what we wanted to do is break up by character since they're all pretty different and play very differently from each other. And then we can talk about like meows, the different acts, your pathing, the shops, what to do at fires, that sort of thing. And talk about the enemies that you're going to encounter. So I think we can just go ahead and start on Clad and go left to right.
Ironclad values like heavy relic bonuses and gold bonuses a lot. Like you just want to buy power quickly because you want to start outpacing fights. Ironclad has like a fundamental idea in Act 1 that's kind of carried over from Spire 1 where you're trying to outpace hallway fights, like especially the early hallway fights with your Burning Blood. Like you want to start over healing, right? Like you want to take less than 6 damage per fight so that you're healing past that 6 damage. So you can get ahead. Once you have enough HP, then you can take elites and trade into the elites. Like lose a bunch of HP and then go back to hallway fights and start building up again if your deck outpaces. And the way you do this is with relics and very powerful cards. Like things like Hemokinesis and big block cards like Flame Barrier, stuff like that. The best Niaos to do this are large capsule, small capsule. And the Niaos that don't do this are the remove Niaos and sometimes the transform Niaos. Depends on the act, but generally speaking, you just want these like heavy early game bonuses on Clad if your path is aggressive, and the more late game oriented bonuses if your path is not so aggressive. Besides removes, like removes isn't something you ever want, I don't think.
Clad's starting deck is the worst out of all the characters. Can we agree on this? Like, it doesn't really do a whole lot, and you have a lot of strikes. Which is why it feels like Large Capsule is, like, more okay on this character than anything else. It's just, like, immediate power, and you're not really diluting your deck out at all. Whereas, like, Regent kind of wants to draw Falling Star, and these other characters do more with, like, their Neutralize or whatever it is. Bash is not an integral part to Ironclad's kit almost ever, and it gets replaced very quickly by other cards that do very similar things. Like there's a lot of times where you just simply don't play Bash. I also really like gold. I think you mentioned that briefly, but any gold bonus on Clad with an early shop lets you do a lot. I don't think I'm ever taking gold with like a late shop just because I think Clad also performs pretty badly in the hallways when you don't make a lot of adjustments to the deck right away. You really want to get some other stuff going on. You can't just like block with your base deck and you're going to outvalue the enemy.
I do feel like Clad, I'm bleeding in easy hallways pretty much every time. Like it never feels good to fight any easy hallway. As walk in, just get chipped and I'm sad. After you see one good common, you kind of stabilize. It's like a shrug or tremble or something. You can suddenly beat the hallways without taking, I don't know, like 15 or something randomly. I think that's been my experience mostly. Advanced hallways just destroy me though. I don't think I've ever had a good advanced hallway on Clad unless I'm past the chest and I've already farmed an elite or something. Then I start healing again.
For people that don't know, advanced hallways refers to a separate pool of hallway encounters that happen after you've already seen 3 inside of Act 1. So there's 2 separate encounter pools. The first 3 fights are generally just going to be much easier than any fight after that. So because they give the same amount of reward, you still get, card and chance at potion and gold. Easy pools versus hard pools is a fairly important distinction to make because the risk is very different for both.
Yeah, it sort of plays into how you path your acts very strongly. With when do you go to your hard pull, like your first hard pull? What node do you want that to be in? How much risk are you willing to take in events? Because every event has a 10% chance, increasing by 10% every time you go to an event to be another hallway fight, and that can change when you see your first hard pull. It's just something you have to plan around a lot. Really on any character, but Clad does care about that because you need your deck to be at a certain point by the time you hit the hard pulls, because you want to usually farm every elite in Act 1 with Clad, and getting the deck in a position where it can actually trade effectively into elites without straight up dying with like potions and HP is kind of the idea most of the time. I think most runs I see die on Clad, where people die in Act 1, is usually just because they didn't take the right cards. Maybe bad micro sometimes, but they didn't play the act as a whole with the idea of trading into the elites. They sort of just like traded into the hallway fights to skip cards and then walked into the elites with not enough HP to actually effectively trade, and then sort of just fell apart there.
Using HP as a resource is something we should definitely talk about. And I think Clad is probably the most important character to really think about that, because you have these cards in your card pool like Bloodletting that says take damage, but hopefully end the fight faster to save HP as a whole, right? Because you have the Burning Blood, like Nate was saying, like you can really snowball the act if you manage to get ahead of curve and sort of start healing through fights, which is not so easy to do. But yeah, one shrug, like Open was saying, is enough usually to sort of fix that problem, at least for the easy pools. And are you guys taking or trying to take early shops like before hard pools? Do we think that that's generally like pretty good?
On Clad, I don't need the early shop as often as on the other characters. Clad does sometimes go to the early shop, especially with gold bonuses, but say you start with like a Kaleidoscope or a Lost Coffer and you get to choose a card. You get like some generic decent block or damage card. You don't really need the shop that much if you already have that front loaded power, and having a big shop in Act 2 or a big late shop in Act 1 is really valuable on Clad. Like you just want to buy relics. Like Clad doesn't really want to spend money on cards and removes or potions or anything, because you can kind of use Burning Blood to like have that much flex space if your deck already has the cards it needs in it. If you don't have the cards, obviously you have to go to the early shop and just buy a card. You'd rather spend the money on relics. Like sometimes it gets, I think, a little overlooked with early shops, especially on characters that can afford to not go to them. How much you're losing by going to the early shop. Like you don't get to buy a relic later, and that relic can make all the difference in the late game and stuff.
I think Clad for me is like, do I have potions? And most of my early shops, I'm just going there to buy a potion because I want to force my way through the lead without seeing advanced hallway first. So it's like, if I have 2 pots, I'll just not go to the shop probably. If I have 1 potion, I'll think. But I have no potions, I'm in the shop immediately. I think that's been my macro mostly for Clad.
Yeah, I mean, on every character, but Ironclad in particular, I love both of the potion Neon bonuses, the coffer and the file holster. And if I have that Neon bonus, I pretty much will never path to the shop. With the file holster, sometimes you can even go to the advanced hallway before the first elite, and then just toss like the random potion you get at the advanced hallway to save you like 15 HP. Usually, without that potion start, I try to avoid the first advanced hallway on Clad. If I don't see the cards and I have like a potion reserve, I don't want to spend that on the advanced hallway. Then suddenly the elite fight will go wrong. I think if you get like any vulnerable source on Ironclad, you can like fight every elite pretty effectively compared to the other characters. You kind of never like run out of damage.
That's more true, I think, in Overgrowth and Underdogs. I think
Underdogs, especially the colony guys, it's pretty problematic.
Skulking Colony and Eels don't just fold to vulnerable in the same way that the Overgrowth elites do. But I would say, like you were saying, the potion and the card reward, like to add on to that, especially with like Lost Coffer giving a card reward and a potion, but Kaleidoscope as well. Like both of those relics give Clad a lot of value. I've liked Kaleidoscope a lot on Clad, actually. Just being able to see that early damage or block card to start trading effectively into elites. Like Kaleidoscope just gives you the one thing you need, and then you start snowballing very quickly. You go to 3 hallways, you heal to full HP because you've got your Kaleidoscope card rewards, and then the first elite you trade like 40 HP into, and then you are like fine for the rest of the act because you get your relic, you get your chest relic, and the run just goes from there. So definitely the Neon bonus is super important in Clad. Do not remove. I think ever remove 1 and remove 2. I think are always wrong on Clad. Like no matter what, I do not think there's ever a situation where they're correct.
There's a very important concept in Spire of like using your snowball to do stuff to help you later down the line. So like everyone's saying, if you have a lot of early game power from your Niao, you can sort of dodge the shop and then use that to have a really good Act 2 shop. And that can help fix future problems. So like a really important idea, and something that actually came up recently in a run of mine, was I got a Pandora's box at the end of Act 1. And fixing your Pandora's box inside of Act 2 with a lot of money can help you from bleeding out if like you transform and don't get any block cards. Like that's something that a lot of people talk about when they see a P box and like, well, I transformed out of all my block and then suddenly I'm like taking damage everywhere. And it's like, that can happen, but that's not necessarily a low roll. Maybe you can just go to the store and then buy block cards or remove some cards to increase the density of block or buy potions to bail you out of that spot. And then in the end game, Pandora's box is really strong, right? And so you can sort of use your early game power to maybe fix some problems that could come up and react to what you're going to see at the end of Act 1, since your Ancient bonus is going to inform you what you need to do with your deck more than anything inside of Act 1, really. You get a huge amount of information at the beginning of Act 2, so saving gold and making sure you have an ability to impact the run after that is really big.
Yeah, I would say that was more true in Spire 1. It is still true in this game, but in Spire 1, your boss relic was like a bigger flex point. You're more consistently strong from your boss relic in this game, so you can afford to not have that gold in early Act 2. In Spire 1, there was a lot more situations where you walk into Act 2 and you have nothing because your boss relic was just a complete brick. That doesn't really happen, like barely ever in this game. So definitely less true, but still true. To have that flexibility is really valuable in most situations.
Or you can like take a card that is going to be a brick now, but maybe really good later if you're ahead of curve. I think this idea of like, where are you in relation to how the game is pressuring you? Like, are you weaker than the game? Are you stronger than the game? And can you make concessions that maybe fix your problems down the line? Like you carry a Dark Embrace that's not going to do anything for an act. And then suddenly it's going to, at the end of Act 2, be really useful. But you're carrying this brick the whole time, right? You're not really allowed to do that if your early game is weak. Like, I think if you take a Scaling Niao bonus, you shouldn't really be taking scaling cards. As a general rule, like, there's obviously exceptions, but you don't want to add a lot of pressure all to the same point of the run. Like, I don't want to add a lot of pressure in Act 1 because I took a Scaling Niao and then also take scaling cards, and then all my pressure converges into one point and suddenly my run is over. You kind of need to spread out your risk throughout, and you can react a lot to what your Niao gives you. Like, I guess what I'm trying to get at is think about, is your Niao good now or is it good later? And how do I need to make decisions that correspond to that?
It's an interesting contradiction because I like the front-loaded Niaos, like I said, like Kaleidoscope, Lost Coffer, the Potion Niaos, like Vial Holster. Obviously, the large capsule, the small capsule. But I also do like Fishing Rod and Lava Rock sometimes on Clad. Like, sometimes there's paths on Clad that you can very clearly see that Burning Blood will outpace this path. Like, you can just look at the path and be like, Burning Blood's going to beat that. Because Burning Blood is just that good that you can reliably say Burning Blood will beat this path. And if you go on that kind of path, especially if it has a decent amount of hallways on it, something like Fishing Rod or Lava Rock, which is a later game Niao bonus, can actually play pretty well on Clad. So I'd say Clad is pretty flexible on Niaos. I think as long as you're not taking like the late game bonuses like Fishing Rod and Lava Rock and the remove bonuses and the transform bonuses when you're in an act that's really dangerous, you'll be completely fine. Like, there's just not a lot of risk.
But I guess to summarize, on Ironclad, I'm really looking for any Niao bonus that helps you before the chest. That's probably where Ironclad is at its weakest. And if it's very easy to get into a situation where you choose like a Niao bonus not suited for the path. You're bleeding HP every single floor despite having Burning Blood. Then you are not even able to fight any elites in the act or getting any upgrades, and you're just behind for the entire run. Because Burning Blood is at its strongest in Act 1, the healing is the most relevant, so if you're not able to use that starter relic on Ironclad, you would just be behind. I mean, on something like Silent Backup Prep, it's relevant for every act, so less of an issue for other characters, but Ironclad, I really want to be strong Act 1.
We should probably also talk about the difference between Underdogs and Overgrowth. So for Ironclad, I think Underdogs basically just pick a few more block cards. Like, some cards, for example, Almonds in Overgrowth, like, don't really want this, but in Underdogs, I see Almonds and I'm like, oh my god, this is the best card of all time. I pick it, upgrade it, and it blocks the Skulking Colony, which vulnerable cards kind of just stomp Overgrowth elites, but that is not true for Underdogs. So only the Terror Eel actually gets owned by vulnerable. The other two don't really care that much.
Fights in general just go longer. I think that's the thing. Even the hallways too, right? Not necessarily, but like as a whole, I feel like once I have decent block, I'm mostly kind of chilling, and then I can start solving the boss or something.
Yeah, I would say there's a very clear design goal in mind with Overgrowth versus Underdogs, which is pretty interesting. Overgrowth is very clearly the damage act. Like, you're not allowed to not have damage cards in the Frog Parasite fight, or you will just die because you'll only draw the infections before you can kill all the small guys. And a Bygone Effigy gets more damage on it the more cards you play, so you want more attacks in your deck. Like, the act is very clearly trying to reward you for adding damage. Like, you want to burst down Burdonis, fights like that. Even the bosses are kind of like that. Like, Bantam wants heavy damage because it has all the intangible stacks, while Underdogs has like the opposite type of design all the way through, where it wants you to have heavy block. Like, Skulking Colony rewards block. The eels somewhat reward block. Even Terror Eel in a lot of ways rewards block. A lot of the hallway fights reward block. There's things like Waterfall Giant. There's just a lot more reward for block in Underdogs, and it feels very clearly that's the point of the design. And Ironclad, this is the sharpest, I think. Because with Clad, it feels like the biggest difference between the two acts, where I really want to add a ton of block in Underdogs, and I want to add a ton of damage in Overgrowth. And I just play two very different runs. Like, the runs that come out of Underdogs and Overgrowth are just different, in my opinion, on Clad. Like you end up with Barricade a lot more in Underdogs, like the Barricade type of scaling engine. That just like never happens if I play Overgrowth Act 1. But if I play Underdogs Act 1, I get the Barricade thing all the time. So it's a really interesting difference how it plays on Clad, especially with the heavy block, heavy damage stuff.
Do you mean like literally with Barricade, or just a deck that would function well with Barricade?
I mean like literally. Like I had an Underdogs run recently where I just bought Barricade in the first shop that I went to because my deck just had a bunch of block cards in it and it just won the run for me. And it was Waterfall Giant as well at the end of the act, and Barricade's very good in that
Makes
fight.
sense.
So there's a lot more reward for it very quickly if you're playing Underdogs.
Is this late Act 1 shop, I assume?
Like mid Act 1.
Mid Act 1.
I was strong.
Oh, okay. Because I'm like, how do you play Barricade in any elite?
Well, if you're ahead of curve, then you're allowed to carry something like that. Like
No, you're allowed to carry something. It plays well into the deck that I was already building because I want to beat Skulking Colony, so I'm running like Shrug, Arma, Flame Barrier, those types of
Yeah,
cards.
it makes sense.
Very heavily.
I do feel like Mango is a pretty interesting card for Ironclad in Underdogs. I mean, it's a rare, so you don't see it that often. But I transformed into Mango one time in Underdogs. And I just like went through the entire act without taking a single point of damage.
J-Mac was
If
right.
you do somehow... I mean, you play Mango against the Colony guy, you take 0. You play Mango against Terror, you would take 0, right? Actually performed
So
pretty
the
well.
last time I got Mangle from Niao, I fought 3 easy hallways and I was on 39 out of 80 with Mangle
What
as
the
my
hell?
Niao. I was like, bro, what is this card? It didn't do anything. It was so worthless.
It's kind of
Yeah,
hard to
I had to run-
play.
I had to run recently, like when I was coaching Multibrad on my channel, where we saw him Mangle. Like we were in a very bad spot, like low HP. I mean, it was like an okay position, but we were low HP. We were gonna have to fight 2 more elites, and I was like, "Ooh, Mangle is like actually really good against Terror Eel and the 4 eels even, because just you play Mangle on 1 eel and it just shuts that eel off and chips it down hugely, to kill it. So I see what you're talking about. Yeah, Mangle does seem good in Underdogs to me. I think I agree.
Are there any bosses in particular that you guys are planning ahead for on Clad more than anyone else? Or like certain
Waterfall
problems?
for me.
The Waterfall
Yeah.
Giant.
Yeah, Waterfall.
I think a lot of that
I
comes
know
down to
I
just
need to
resting.
have- Yeah, it's like I need to have X HP for this guy or the
Yep.
Barricade card.
Mhm.
But usually just HP.
I think either
I
you need to kill it very quickly so the explosion isn't super big, or you just need to have block and HP to tank it.
Like, I have held a weak pot all the way to the Waterfall Giant before because I was terrified of my life. And it was needed, so...
Yeah, preparing a potion for bosses in Act 1 on all the characters, including Cloud, has felt like a very good thing to do. Like, I respect the bosses a lot. I find Act 1 bosses probably, out of anything, are the easiest to mess up an act and die to. Because if you just walk in with too little HP or not the right potion that you could have saved, sometimes they just HP check you, especially something like Waterfall Giant, Ironclad, or Phantom. It's just like, oh, you're at 35 HP. Okay, I'll just kill you because like you can't do anything. Like you don't have the counterplay. This didn't happen as much in Spire 1, but it does kind of happen in this game where bosses just HP check you. And if you don't have the right solution to that, then your act can fall apart. So that's kind of the planning, really. It's not like specific cards or relics that I'm like playing around to beat the boss. It's just more like, how do I make sure I have the resources, like the potions and the HP, to take on the boss at the end? I'll figure the card stuff out. Like I'll take a Sword Boomerang if I need to against Phantom, or I'll take a Barricade against Waterfall Giant. But having the right resources into the boss feels like a resource war more than anything.
It feels way more okay to throw a potion in this game at the boss, whereas like in Spire 1, sometimes if you like didn't hold both your pots and you walk in Act 2, you die in 2 floors. This game I don't feel like really does that. One, potion chance carries over between acts now, and so you're way less likely to just completely break a ton of potions inside of Act 2, or like low roll pots inside of Act 1, then low roll pots inside of Act 2 again, because your potion chance reset, and that doesn't really happen now. And 2, your ancient bonus is just really powerful, so it's very unlikely you're going to walk into Act 2 and not get an immediate power boost and get owned in the hallways. I don't think like the easy pools inside of Spire 2 are really killing you in Act 2, whereas Spire 1 they would. Like you walk into the avocado and suddenly you took 40, or you walk into the birds and you take 40 or 50. Like, yeah, that just doesn't happen in this game. So I feel like I'm way more willing to just like rest or throw a pot in this game.
But yeah, a lot of the end of Act 1 ancient bonuses give you like a very immediate power boost. In Spire 1, let's say you take on mediocre energy relic, you run to avocado, you break your draw turn 1, you still get hit 21 to the face. But in this game, immediately after you pick up the end of Act 1 ancient bonus, you're just like super strong into Act 2. You have that very short-term power boost.
Should we move on to Silent?
Like half the people here actually play Silent. Actually, it's like half a person here plays Silent.
I played Silent today to prepare for the thing.
That means, Jason, you yourself are the biggest expert on Silent.
Wow.
Take the floor. Please
Huge.
explain
Wow.
how to play Act 1 on Silent. We need a thorough explanation from you, because none of us know what we're doing. So.
I actually don't know.
Well-
I'm actually
well,
clueless with Silent.
Should we talk a little bit about why people are choosing not to play Silent right now? I'm still playing it just in rotating, but I do think the character is just very, very strong. I know like not everyone has that same experience. Like if you're a new player, you're probably not going to understand why we say this. But to me, Silent feels like she was always kind of a character that scaled pretty well into the later parts of the game. Like there was a joke inside of Spire 1 that Silent in Act 4 just wins. Like you just cheat in Act 4. And it's kind of true, I think, for the Act 3 of this game. You sort of just cheat in Act 3. And the reason why Silent wasn't just the default best character inside of Spire 1 is really because the early game was so bad. You got punished a lot for not dealing damage. In Silent's base deck, you have Neutralize plus Survivor, which neither card is really meant to deal damage, right? They're both just block cards at the end of the day. Like Weakness is just a block card. And so you have this deck that's just got 2 extra block cards in it compared to something like Dual Cast and Zap, or you also have Venerate Falling Star that sort of pressure you to go faster because they're not blocking. One, Underdogs is just great when you can just sit around, right? And also, we lack the elites that really kill you. I think like inside of Overgrowth is really where I actually pick the quote unquote garbage cards like Dagger Spray to try and get through like Frog Parasite or some of these elites that are going to make you damage race. But Silent, like her starter relic just makes you really good into hallways. Because one, you're going to draw your block cards because you draw 2 extra cards on turn 1. So you're not going to walk in and randomly take 10 or 15 on turn 1 like all the other characters can do. Like no matter how good your deck is, you can just walk in on turn 1, draw 4 strikes and an Ascender's Bane, and you just get owned. Silent just can't. Like mathematically, you're going to just draw an okay hand or at least 1 block card with the base deck. And most times you're drawing 2 or 3, and you can just play all of them if the enemies are hitting you, and most fights take a turn off that allows you to sort of just play the fight slow and set up when you need to. But yeah, so I think other people can go into it why they're choosing not to play Silent. I don't need to yap forever.
I think for me, Silent's entire card pool has just by far the strongest defensive scaling options in the game. And the game doesn't punish you for just blocking. Even in Overgrowth, I'm just blocking anyways on the Silent because the cards are so good. You pick like 1 or 2 damage cards, and Overgrowth still fine. So every Silent run just the same. You just block. You pick your 1 cost powers, Footwork, Fumes, Plans. Those are the big 3. And you just never take damage for the entire run. That's just how the character plays, more or less.
But if I gave my reasoning, it would be like, I actually think at this point, Silent and Regent are about as strong as each other. That's like my current opinion. I think Regent isn't really weaker than Silent. It's more that Silent is strong in a way that I'm very familiar with because I played a lot of Spire 1. Like, so I know what a strong Silent run looks like, and I've played this run many times, hundreds of times. I've watched it maybe 1,000 times. And so I know how this kind of deck works. And it plays very similar to Spire 1. Really, Silent in Spire 2 is just a very similar character to her in Spire 1. But she's not really checked by anything. She just kind of does her thing. And her thing is so powerful in this game while being not very interesting. While someone like Regent, who I think is equally strong, maybe stronger than Silent, is just so ridiculous and funny and new and fresh and interesting. And like that's really the key difference. It's not really that Silent's so broken. She is broken, and so is Regent. But she's just broken in a boring way. She's broken in a way that I'm very familiar with. I've seen a million times. And also it's just like kind of numbers. Like I block 5 and the enemy can't do anything. I apply weakness and the enemy just shuts off, you know? Like that's how I win the run. I just sit there, play my powers and win. While Regent's like, I'm strong because I play a sword that does 5,000 damage and it floats above my head. You know? it's like a very different vibe in the types of strength that they have. Like Silent's like basic by the numbers strength, while Regent's like huge explosions and powerful combos and stuff. And that's just way more fun to play for me. So.
But the reason I don't want to play Silent, though, is the same as Nave's. Like, I played the same run. I've also watched this run. Although I think I'm kind of trash at Silent, because I feel like I can still lose on Silent. Like, right now, I feel like Defect is actually the strongest character. I think I just know what I'm doing on Defect. It generally feels unlosable on Defect. Like, I just can't lose. Every card's insane. But Silent, if I don't have damage, I could die. Defect just has damage. Maybe it's me.
Way better on Silent and Clad now than the other characters. I think it's just because these characters play really similarly to Spire 1, so I feel like I have a big head start on them. Like, Silent, I think more than any other character, just doesn't need to ever really pick late game from Niao. Like, I just always pick the early game stuff because I know if I make it out of Act 1, I'm just gonna have the stuff in the end game. Like, Neutralize is probably the best starter card in the game. Is that a consensus we can come to, or do we think that it's like
Falling Star is the best?
Falling Star,
yeah.
Falling Star's better now.
I think they're like really good cards. Well, they both say weakness.
Bodyguard's better.
Okay.
Neutralize might
Actually,
be
wait,
better than
Unleash is kind of
Bodyguard.
disgusting, huh?
I think Neutralize
I
is
don't
better
know.
than Bodyguard. I think
Neutralize
Falling
is
Star is
better,
really
I think.
strong. But
I think Falling Star is better than Neutralize, and then Neutralize is better than like Unleash and Bodyguard, and those are like kind of close.
to me,
That's what
like,
I'd say, I think.
if I upgrade Neutralize and I pick like a handful of block cards, I don't ever take damage again. Like, I don't need to see very much to block the end game. The numbers just aren't as big as they were in Spire 1. There's nothing that's hitting you for like 100 damage or 90 damage, and weakness just kind of solves everything. This character, I think, can struggle finding energy generation. If you are thinking about energy generation in the traditional sense of I play a card to get energy, like Bloodletting. But Sly fixes that problem a lot. Powers help fix that problem. Like, if I play a Footwork, my energy just converts into more amounts of block. The real thing is, like, I want to find something to deal damage while I'm able to block at the same time. So either I have Sly cards that deal damage, or I have Poison that's just kind of like ticking, or I have very cheap, efficient damage after powers are down, like accuracy plus like Blade of Ink or something. And I feel like there's just not that many things I have to check off to make it so I have to pick something like that from Niao. I can just pick something that makes me not die, get my Neutralize upgrade, pick a handful of damage cards, and sort of just snowball insanely hard and win the endgame very easily. It really feels like if I don't die inside of Act 1, I just sort of win the run. As long as I'm not like completely doing something stupid inside of early Act 2. But you really reach this critical mass very quickly, I feel.
But
Yeah,
I
I feel
guess
like you can-
Silent can tolerate most of the Niao options. Like, the remove options are not super bad on Silent because you just block, you remove your strike. Transforms are insanely strong on Silent. So I do feel like you can pick most of the Niao options on the Silent.
Yeah, she's pretty flexible with the Niao bonuses. I feel like Silent can be played almost like a checklist. Like, that's at least like when I was playing Silent, I was playing it like a checklist, and I was winning pretty consistently. It's like you just have in your head, this is the problems that I have to solve. It's like I have to reach this damage before I reach this boss. And then Niao's just kind of play into that checklist in my head. It's like, I need this much AoE damage before I fight Frog Parasite. It's like, you look for card rewards, you go to the early shop, you know, you just take the cards that you need to reach those thresholds. Because Silent's other problems just kind of naturally solve themselves. Like, the character's not pressured by card rewards because your commons are so good. This is less true than it was because Acrobatics is no longer a common, but you still have like Piercing Whale, the poison commons that can solve bosses. You still have like Dodge and Roll, incredible block cards, Sucker Punch, more weakness. Like Backflip, one of the best draw commons in the game. Or the best draw common in the game, probably. Maybe aside from Glow. But it's just like, you have so much flexibility with how you can play your run because you solve so many problems with commons. And playing on this checklist mentality from Niao bonus on is just kind of how I play Act 1. But I do have to admit, I haven't studied Silent Act 1 as much as I've studied other characters Act 1. It kind of all came very naturally because she's so similar to Spire 1 Silent. She just feels like she kind of gets to do whatever she wants with these Act 1s the way they're balanced right now.
Early shops feel very important on this character.
Not Silent?
Yeah, just a snowball. I think it's
I don't
like, if
really
you feel
go
safe.
to. I want the option to avoid the early shop on Silent, unless I'm desperate for some solution that I don't have yet, or I have no potions. Then maybe I go to the early shop. I think Silent is strong enough outcome. I don't need to go to the early shop without a gold option.
You don't need to, but I also feel like I haven't really been punished for doing it. Like, I just do it, my early game is really safe, and then I never feel the punish in like Act 2 or 3. Like, it just never happens. That's what would happen. Like in Spire 1, if you take an early shop and you don't need it, your Act 2 is worse because you spent your gold on something that you just really didn't actually need. Like buying potions and temporary power really hurt you in that game sometimes. But in this game, I waste money, quote unquote, and it ends up being completely fine. Like, as long as I don't get owned early, it feels like I just lived long enough to see the broken stuff. Like, everything on the character feels really broken, so I just need to see something.
I think that's mostly a consequence of no Act 4. Like, really, like, playing Act 1 wrong and not snowballing hard enough, or like not saving enough gold to buy a relic or something, that was mostly punished in Act 4 and Spire 1. I think it's probably going to be true in this game as well, assuming Act 4 is similar to how it was in Spire 1.
Hopefully.
Most important thing to accomplish before you fight elites on Silent is just upgrade neutralize. Like that's like the key. You have to get that done. Get AoE, upgrade neutralize. Like, accomplish those two things, you can take as many elites as you want usually. What I would say to end the Silent is like Underdogs and Overgrowth, there's not really much difference the way I see it for Silent. Like, she has the least difference. Like Ironclad, if he has the most difference between Underdogs and Overgrowth, Silent has the least. Like, you kind of do the same thing anyway. At least when I was playing Silent, I was just doing the same thing. I haven't thought about it too much, but you just kind of pick the same strong powers. You pick the same strong block cards, the same strong damage cards. You play very similarly in both acts. Maybe shivs are slightly better in Overgrowth, but like not much of a difference.
Probably the character you can most closely like follow a tier list and be fine, which is not really what we want. I don't think like any of us want a game where like you can just only pick the good cards and be okay, but that's kind of what Silent feels like right now.
Yeah.
Regent feels like giga strong early, I think. Regent feels the most watchery to me. Like, I see a card, I'm like, I'm gonna skip that card. Whereas on the other characters, I feel pressure, like, oh, I should add our card. But Regent's like, I'm gonna skip. This card's not good enough. And then I see one insane card, because Regent, I don't know why half the Regent cards have gigantic numbers on them, but they do. And like, well, I honestly want like a common card, like Astral Pulse or Rotten War's like a massive number as well. Are there other cards? I don't know. Something like that.
Rotten War, Astral Pulse, Refined Blade, Collision Course.
Yeah, there's a lot of cards. I just know there's a lot. When I play, like, oh, these cards are so insane. If I didn't see them, I would skip, and then I'm fine. Then you play Watcher, I guess. It takes small.
Yeah, you really want to skip the bad commons on the Regent. What's a good example? Okay, Crescent Spare, but I feel like everyone knows that card's bad. Photon card, I really do not like on Regent.
Photon card sucks.
Photon card and Guiding
That's went down
Star.
for me a lot as well.
I've not clicked Guiding Star in like 3 weeks. That ever since it got changed, I just looked at it. I was like, I don't really want this thing ever.
And Guiding Star is like a late game card. If you have like a lot of energy and a lot of stars, then okay, you won't draw.
Regent feels to me like the character that has energy the least out of all the characters. Is that crazy?
Yeah,
it's like a void form card. It's a void form card.
Yeah,
that's what Guiding Star is.
Like, I feel like your energy really comes from using stars instead of energy to do really powerful stuff. So your energy to like play powers is pretty limited, and your energy to like do these things is pretty limited, which leads to wanting to have a smaller deck that relies on like a ton of stuff to play. That's been kind of my idea on the character so far. So, okay, one really big idea I think for me on this character was picking early game Niaos to allow you to skip all the stuff, right? Like, I want to pick an early game bonus so that I am ahead of curve or above curve and then can like skip for 2 floors and still be fine. I think if you don't do that, sometimes you're pressured into taking the garbage, and then once you start taking the garbage, like, you have to like keep taking it, and then your deck looks like just crap at some point. And like, you can do big Regent decks and it still wins a lot. But I've had personally more success trying to skip more on this character, and you can still pick like your spectrum shifts with a small deck and still have it be really, really good. You just get to play your spectrum shift earlier now, and then you can still do like small looping things. You're not going to have that much bloat.
Yeah, the idea is Child of Stars and Pillars of Creation are completely busted cards. You just want to play them as soon as possible. So even if you have a spectrum shift in your deck, after you have it deployed, the size of the deck no longer matters.
Yeah, I'd say with Regent, like the main idea from Niao is I want to fight hallway fights, and I want to go to an early shop. Like I just want to see the most amount of Regent cards as I possibly can because these cards are insanely broken. I just want to see all of them. Like I just want to see as many cards. I just want to pick the good ones. So go to an early shop, go to a decent amount of hallway fights, and take any out bonus that lets you do that and lets you buy cards. And you will just win on Regent. Like that is how I've been playing the character, and it's been super effective. I don't really prioritize events. I don't really prioritize things like remove Niao. I don't want to remove Niao because I don't like care about getting the strikes out of my deck as much as I just care about seeing a bunch of cards. Because like as soon as you see a charge, like one charge in Act 1 on Regent, you win, like straight up. You just win the run. You see unastral pulse, like the run just folds like to you. There's just so many examples like that, and you want to get the star economy and the star payoff like going as well. You want to get your glow into your reflect. You want to get your shadow stars and pillars. Like you just want to take those cards. Like you see a card reward with 2 garbages and a pillars of creation or a shadow stars. You have nothing that says you want either of those cards. You still just snap click them. And then you just go to more hallway fights, and any Niao bonus that pushes you to be able to do that, like gold bonuses, card reward bonuses, potion bonuses, just like front loaded value that gets you to the hallway fights to see as many Regent cards as possible. That's how you win on the character. Like that's the most effective way to play in Act 1. I'm very confident in that.
I know a lot of people think Venerate's a pretty bad card. Do we all agree that it's actually just pretty good?
I think it's pretty bad, but it's necessary for the deck to function.
It says stars on it.
It has stars on it, so you do need it. And it allows you to pick the broken cards.
The
Like,
upgrade
okay,
can be
imagine if you
really strong.
removed- Imagine if you removed dual cast from like the starter deck for Defect. Zap would suddenly become a lot worse, right? It's like if you removed Falling Star, Venerate would be pretty bad, but it's like the same kind of relationship, or one is making the other card good. Like Falling Star is so amazing that Venerate is also a pretty good card because it's just how you put Falling Star into play. Kind of the situation.
It feels like to me that
Venerate's just
Venerate keeps
good, though.
performing, throughout the run. Because at some point,
Venerate
Falling
lets you
Star can get
not take
replaced.
other things.
Like Venerate's the only card that gives you 3 stars front load that's not costing you 5 stars at the same time. That's I don't know. It felt insane to me.
Yeah, the
No
card's
other
also
card can
just
do this,
alright.
right?
It's like another hidden cache, basically. Like start with a hidden cache, sort of. Like it's like a little bit worse than hidden cache, but it's like similar type of thing.
Upgrade Venerate kind of just carries your star gen by itself for quite a while. It's kind of insane. I think this card's just really good.
I just read it as next turn play Astral Pulse. Like, not exactly, but like, if that's how you think of the card, then suddenly it sounds a lot better, right? Like, all these star cards are just so crazy. Yeah, and this turn sometimes. Hitting
I'm
cache
glad to
is
have it in my
delayed.
deck. Glad to have it in the deck. But if it was in the card pool, right?
Fair.
Like comparing it to Glow, it's
Yes.
like not nearly as strong as Glow. But like it is decent, like it would be like a mid-tier card if it was in the card. Well, not low tier. And people act like it's just this abysmal, like garbage card that doesn't do anything when you play it. It's like no, the cards that say stars on them do something. Like for sure.
I think I would pick Venerate over some star gen cards like Solar Strike. I think I'd rather pick Venerate over that because it would be 2 stars.
Yeah, I mean, Solar Strike's like the worst one.
Yeah.
It's true. It's a bit unfair. But even Shining Strike, I don't know. I have to think about it a bit. I don't want Shining Strike on top of my draw pile. I could see picking Venerate over that, depending on the spot.
Yeah. Kind of looping back in, are there any elites or bosses you guys feel are particularly challenging for Regent or need to be addressed individually?
The Skulking Colony, I think, sometimes slaps me around a bit. I didn't find block, and that guy kind of does punch pretty hard. You have to face the 22 hit, right? That's quite hard to block.
That's why I have
Oh, it's
3
just
node
raw
I place in my
damage,
deck.
True.
Yeah, crazy card.
Yeah, I find, at least with how I'm playing Regent right now, things kind of solve themselves if I go to enough hallway fights. Like, I don't worry too much about the elites as long as I can see enough Regent cards, go to the early shop, get some potions. Like, it feels pretty comfy overall. I'd say the key things with, like, bosses is, like, if you're fighting Soulfish, get a sword. If you're fighting Soulfish, get a sword. If you're fighting, like, Bantam, then you can prepare for it with things like Celestial Might or Black Hole, like, these little, like, things that ping it down so you can actually play your sword or play some big attack. Outside of that, it's just like the good cards kind of naturally get in your deck and solve the problematic fights.
The deer boss, I think I end up
Swords?
picking like chunky block a lot of times.
I think swords getting in my deck pretty much any act. It just feels so great for every boss, right? Not just fish, like just any boss.
It's just
right?
very important in the fish because you don't want to have your intangible like screw over
Oh
whatever
yeah, that's
other
true.
damage.
I guess more important. It does feel
Like
super
a
important just for any
retained
boss,
attack
though.
is just super good there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Fish, I guess Begone goes up a bit.
Begone charge also just like cooks the fish.
Yeah, that too.
Phantom actually hurts a bit too much. Like Spectrum Shift sometimes doesn't cover me for Phantom. That guy's scary, dude.
Yeah, Phantom is scary. Sometimes I picked Slash of Might from Phantom before.
Yeah, I'd say Phantom is probably the scariest Act 1 boss for Regent. If I had to pick one. Maybe the scariest Act 1 thing that exists for Regent would be Phantom. It's not that scary, but it is probably the scariest if I had to pick one.
Interesting question for y'all. If you have like Venerate and Astral Pulse as kind of your only 2 cards going into a campfire, which one do you upgrade?
Astral Pulse.
Venerate.
If I have not fought Frog Parasite, definitely Astral Pulse.
It's just always Venerate, right?
Venerate, yeah. Probably like almost always. I mean, if I'm like dying to the, I mean, even if I'm dying to that, like the Venerate upgrade does so much against the Frog Parasite. Probably Venerate still.
It also feels like I later on want the Venerate upgrade more, right? Like at some point, maybe I'm not playing Astral Pulse, and especially like against bosses, like you sometimes just skip it. Like not literally skip as in the card reward, but like you draw it and then you just decide not to play it because it's just not worth it. Like stars can convert debuffs, and that's oftentimes better. It feels like Venerate for me as well, I think.
I mean, it kind of depends what the rest of the deck looks like, though. Like, if you have a deck where you can just hold the stars and you play Astral Pulse, and every little minion dies, because it's 21, right? It's a pretty good threshold. I do rather upgrade Astral Pulse, especially if I have like 2 Nodai plays or something in the deck. I don't necessarily need to play Falling Star.
Yeah, it's just like a thing. And if you're talking about Frog Parasites specifically, if I play Astral Pulse on on like the small guys, I expect that fight's probably fine. Like, if I just accomplish that goal. And Venerate probably helps me a little bit. But maybe if like killing the original guy is a bit of a problem. So. Obviously, everything depends on this game. There's going to be situations where you upgrade Astral Pulse over Venerate, but I'd say if you're asking on average, Venerate's going to be the correct pick most of the time.
Yeah, I think it's just something that's come up a lot at campfires because like I always picking Astral Pulse, right? It's just always in my deck, and I often get to the first campfire and I'm like, I wonder if this is correct or how other people feel about this. And I'm sure other viewers have the same experience.
I think if I have exactly Gather Light in my deck already, I wouldn't upgrade Venerate.
That's an important threshold though, right? Like being able to play 2 Astral Pulses, like you draw it on the first deck cycle and you know you're going to be able to make 3 more stars. That's what I'm trying to hit. Right?
Yeah.
And I think Regent, more than any other character, has to think through their draw pile a lot more. Like you really have to plan out exactly which cards you're going to play because this resource is so limited. It doesn't just come back every turn.
Yeah, it's kind of the thing with the Venerate upgrade, though, is it helps you uncap that resource. Like, in the long term, you want to be able to just play your star cards like more, like, as often as you want. And Venerate upgrade just plays so much better in the long term than something like Astral Pulse. Like, it's not going to do much in the long term. So, if I have Astral Pulse on my deck, I'm probably already trying to snowball, and part of that snowball is just upgrading Venerate, so I can, like, pick a Reflect and then play it later. Kind of my thinking.
Yeah, being able to pick cards is just the huge thing. If with Venerate minus, and you have an Astral Pulse in your deck, so your only star is Venerate, right? So you have Astral Pulse, Venerate, Falling Star. It's really, really hard to pick another star cost card that you want, like Reflect. But Venerate Plus, I'm still going to pick it though, but it's like a lot hard to actually play. And Venerate Plus lets me do that. I don't think I've ever upgraded Pulse or Venerate without any other star gen card already in my deck. Just feels so. I could see it, like I'm straight up dying immediately in 1/4, then sure. Otherwise,
Yeah, that'd have to be the situation, I think, is like I'm literally dead right now.
Gatherlight's so good to me, too. Well,
It's
like only Gatherlight Glow,
Convergence.
Gatherlight Glow,
Convergence.
Convergence, okay,
picking.
Convergence, sure.
Like those are the only 3 star gens I'm really picking before I really know that I need more stars.
Yeah.
Cash is like the emergency lever. Oh god, I saw the good star cards and I picked them because I know they're going to be broken. Like the Reflect is in the deck, the Astral Pulse is in the deck, the Comet's in the deck, or whatever it is, like your debuffs, you know. Sometimes you end up with a deck with 3 of these cards in them and you can't play them and you know the situation's dire and then you have to pick first star gen you see. Otherwise, like you can bleed out.
I
Catch
really
is
don't
still
want
solid
to
enough that I
have
want to
Kitten
call
Cash
it
in my deck.
emergency button. Like Catch is okay. It generates enough stars per energy. The real emergency button is Shining Strike. That's like the oh god, I need stars now.
Fair.
It's
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
panic.
That's the panic mode. Like I still put Hidden Cache in good decks when I'm just like, oh, I can just convert
Yeah.
stars into output like very easily. Like I have Radiate, or I have like some other way of just converting stars into output for free.
Are you guys picking 2 Gather Lights, by the way, early game? Like, floor 1, you see Gather Light over nothing. I'm just going to pick that, right? Like, floor
Yeah.
2, you see Gather Light against nothing again. Are you picking that?
Only in underdogs if like the path is very specific. But
Yeah,
no,
I
not
don't like
really.
the second one.
Okay.
A
Though.
lot of
I don't think
hallways,
we can,
yeah.
asking.
I think like a lot of hallways and underdogs probably, but usually not. Like I do want front load block cards in hallways, and Regent does have this problem where it walks into a hallway and it draws Venerate on turn 1, and you just take 10 to your face. Like VM was saying, he really wants a block card. I think I agree with that, and I don't mind picking 2. It's not something I want to do very often though.
Speaking of common block, Glitter Stream is my goat. That card's busted.
The card's very good.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to really emphasize how important the early shop is on Regent, because that's like if there's anything that's really important for Act 1 on Regent is to go to the early shop. I would say out of all the characters, maybe aside from Necrobinder, the early shop is the most important on Regent. You really want to look at cards. Cards are so powerful. Like once you see one of the overstated cards, one of the good cards, you just start snowballing immediately. Like the only way Regent runs go wrong is if you don't see those cards fast enough to take on the elites. And the early shop just drastically decreases the chance that happens. So highly recommend early shops on Regent. That's the most important thing on the character in Act 1.
Regent just has like the best individual overstated cards out of all the characters. You just find one, you just win.
Necrobinder now feels like the most polarized character to me. It feels like a very flowcharty, I do the same thing kind of every run.
Yep.
Like, the core idea of it is really just I retain block and block turns to damage. So if I follow that loop and I only do that, it's just gonna work every single time. Like you're not actually doing anything else. It also feels like the card packages are kind of standalone on their own fine, so you don't ever need to get into like interesting synergy spaces. You just sort of pick the stuff, like the good cards. I think there's a couple Niaos in particular that work better on this character than others, though, by a lot.
Yeah, Necrobinder removes are very good from Neo. Remove 2, Necrobinder actually pickable compared to some other
It's
characters.
disgusting. It's
Yeah.
like
It's amazing.
auto
I think it is the
win.
number 1 now, remove 2. Like, I think it's
In
the number
underdogs,
1
it's
now.
the number 1.
Yeah, yeah,
I
I guess
Underdogs.
Overgrowth
Underdog for
maybe
sure.
is, like Glam is
And
better.
Overgrowth Transform 2 is the number 1
Or
for sure.
You can't see them though. It's hard to compare when they're not on the same screen.
It's kind of insane.
Commander
really.
upgrade 1, holy crap, and Bodyguard is green.
I would say really even in Overgrowth, you could have like upgrade Nia's Talisman or like the what's the other one called? The File Holster. Like things like that can actually outperform remove 2 in specifically Overgrowth in some paths. Underdogs,
I can see that as
remove 2 is the best Niao. You get rid of 2 curses. Remove 2 curses is a very good start
Very
to
good
it.
Neo.
But I would say remove 2 on Necrobinder is not only good because it's so good in Act 1 and like helped you do the Barricade Body Slam summon into Unleash thing more conveniently, but it's also good in the long term. The most on Necro, like removes in the long term are the best on Necrobinder out of every character. I think. So like it's a combination of both those things that just makes it so ridiculously strong on Necrobinder. It's really only Frog Parasite's existence that makes removes a little bit sketchy. Because sometimes you walk into Frog Parasite with literally no attacks. Like you only
That's
have
a problem,
Unleash,
yeah.
then the fight just never ends and you get a billion status cards and you die. But other than that, like there's really no issues. There's just removing as many strikes as you possibly can, as soon as you possibly can on the character.
Do you kind of have to pick like for that fight sometimes, or like other ways of dealing AoE damage? But the thing about Necro is also a lot of your damage cards just say retain. Like I can just pick Reap, and that's like it. That's all I need. Or I pick that's like all I need, and then I'm done. Like
Yep.
it's kind of silly.
Yeah, slapping
you're-
retain on the common card, pretty crazy.
Yeah, your base deck is just so strong. If you can block, the second you get ahead of curve at all in this character, it's just unbeatable. Feels like you never take damage again. You sick 1 Defy a Grave Warden, you're done. Like delay, insane card. Like energy next turn plus energy basically now, essentially. Like I just super dense, chunky block card. That's like exactly what Necro wants. You just always want to be drawing into block because that converts into damage. So like the more you can block, the higher your damage goes, and you're just getting rewarded for wanting to do one thing way too much, I think.
Once you are able to overblock like one turn in combat as Necrobinder, you just keep overblocking because Austin keeps growing and just don't take damage. That's like that's like so much more true for Necro compared to other characters.
Speaking of this draw into block thing, are you guys going to spend 100 gold in an Act 1 shop to remove a Necrobinder?
Maybe. More than the other characters, for sure.
Yeah, more than other characters, for sure.
Only on Necrobinder. There's no other character I would ever spend that much.
Yeah.
Because I haven't done it yet. Because someone asked me this in chat, I was wondering, like, would I actually do this? I mean, other characters, I'll just say, no, you're stupid, but Necrobinder is like, would I actually do this? Is this like a real thing?
Like if you already have the cards, like, and you want to just do the loop thing, like you want to start looping your block cards, which is what Necrobinder wants to do, and like play your one summon card per cycle to build up the Osti. Once you start wanting to do that, and you're there already, you have the cards to do that, then strike remove is huge because you're just removing a curse.
Yep.
Like, would you remove a curse? Is the question you should be asking. Because strike is a curse.
True, yeah.
I would say you should be thinking a lot on Necro about can you actually outvalue certain fights. And in those fights, you really need to panic and like throw pots. Like if you don't recognize the dangers there, like let's say the statue inside of Act 1 doesn't hit you for like 3 turns, right? And you feel good. And then the second it starts hitting you, you can't outpace it unless you have like a really decent deck. And a lot of people just don't think that far ahead, I think, and end up getting in a situation where now they're just behind and they can't build the Osti and then they have no damage. And they get owned, right? So you do need to sort of think about a couple, like a handful of problematic fights that either pressure you all the time and it's more than you can keep up with, or that start hitting you really hard or wreck your deck's consistency.
Okay, we need to clarify this because you don't actually need to think. If you're in underdogs, you don't need to think at all.
Okay,
you win. Okay, Overgrowth, though, there's some respect to be had in Overgrowth. You got to kind of respect those hard pulls. You got to respect those elites like a decent amount. They chip through your Osti much faster. Like it's kind of a natural consequence of what I was talking about earlier, which is that Overgrowth is the damage act and Underdogs is the block act, and Necrobinder is the block character. So like the consequence is that Underdogs is extremely easy for Necrobinder. We were just talking about how good, or a while ago, we were talking about how good Barricade is in like Waterfall Giant. Well, Necrobinder just has Barricade built into the character. So you just beat Waterfall Giant for free. There's a lot of things in Underdogs that just fall over flat to what Necrobinder does. Like Doom is really good against the Skulking Colony. A lot of the hallway fights don't. Like they block, so Doom just goes through it. They fold to debuffs. You know, there's just a lot of aspects of Underdogs that make Necrobinder just win that act extremely easy. I don't think you should ever die in Act 1 in Underdogs as Necrobinder. Like it's so hard to die. Like you need barely anything. One block card and you're already ahead of the entire act.
If you're picking a bunch of damage, then you can die. And that's where people go wrong, right? I think if you have the wrong idea on the character, which is maybe what we can fix today, then the act feels hard. The second you know the core idea, it's very easy. And it's just maybe that little bit of knowledge that helps.
One way I see a lot of new players lose on Necrobinder is they're trying to pick like a win con. They pick like the random pull from below in Act 1 because it has like this crazy combo potential later. But you need to realize your win con is in your base deck. Your win con is Unleash. So if you can make that work, you don't like need to pick any of the speculative thing that might or might not work later. Just pick some good front-loaded block card. Yeah, pretty set for a long time.
Yeah, I'd say I don't really pick anything for late game on Necrobinder, besides like maybe a Sleight of Flesh or a Friendship here and there, like powers. If I'm picking something for late game, and really those things don't do too badly in the bosses anyway. But yeah, in general, of course, like something like Pull from Below or Banshee's Cry is like way too risky to take that early on, unless you already have like huge combo with it.
Yep.
Is Banshee actually greedy? I
had a really funny transform into Banshee on floor 1, and then I just made sure I could play it, and I upgraded it, and it just won the whole run.
Yeah, I say Banshee can actually play in Act 1 if you get it at like the right timing. But it's like a weird card, like in Underdogs. I'd say I could pick it in Overgrowth, because like I kind of want the damage, but in Underdogs I want to build a very different kind of deck. I don't want to add like this curse to my deck because I just want to draw a block card. I'm not really going to speculate on a Banshee's Cry because I don't need it at all in Underdog.
I feel like I still want this because Underdogs has one really scary fight, right? It's the 4 guys. Necro cannot outblock the 4 guys. You do need an AoE, like one death.
Well, if you have like 2 Defies already, sure, like you can pick the Banshee's Cry. But Pull from Below is obviously way worse than Banshee's Cry. they're not comparable. But speculating fully on them is what BM was talking about. I'm just like, I'm gonna just click this thing to.
Oh yeah.
I think it's
I'm just going back
fine.
to the you ignore everything thing because I do not ignore the 4 guys, the 4 eels, because I'm actually scared. Until I find one card, then I'm not scared anymore.
Yeah.
I need to find that one card first.
I think
if you can kill that fight,
negative pulse to an extent can deal with the 4 guys. Bone shards, of course.
Yeah,
And,
Necrobinder is really good at that fight. Like Pulse is so good.
Yeah.
at
You just need
good.
one of
Eels.
those cards. If I did not see one of those
Deathbringer.
cards, then I'm worried.
Deathbringer.
a general rule of thumb I think for that fight is if you can kill them in 3 deck cycles, you're probably okay. That's generally how I've felt. Like after about 3, they start outpacing you, and it's really scary. But like 3 negative pulses, everything's gonna die. 3 deck cycles, if you have 1 ethereal card and an upgraded Banshee's Cry kills them, which I did recently, it's just not that hard, I think, to solve it. But you do need to respect it. Like I do think this is a thinking ahead problem, similar to like what I was talking about in Overgrowth. Like you do need to know that some enemies will outpace you. If you go in and you just like killing time for 5 turns, you're like, this is really chill. You're gonna get a Rude Awakening in some fights. You just need to know which fights that is and respect it.
Especially in Overgrowth. It's really not common in Underdogs, if we're being honest.
Yeah,
Like it's
not
yeah.
common. No.
She's so good at that act. Like it's so easy with just 1 upgraded block card to outpace the entire act. And you will be confident, and you will be correctly confident that you will outpace the act. But like you were saying earlier, like Bygone Effigy, you walk into that fight, you're building up your Aussie, and you're like, oh, it's going great. And then turn 3, the guy dashes at you, and your Aussie's gone. You're like, oh.
And then you're dead.
Yeah. Or like similar thing with a Frog Parasite. Like you go into that fight, and turn 2 it kills your Aussie, and you suddenly your Unleash doesn't kill it, and then it adds 6 of those status cards to your deck. And once those 6 cards are in your deck, well, say goodbye. You're done for.
Yep.
But holding pots for these fights is a really big thing. You don't necessarily need to warp your entire deck around it. It's just like, if you have a potion that answers the one problematic fight you have, then you can confidently fight everything. The second you see that one fight, you know to throw the pot. You just sort of need to plan ahead and have an answer. It doesn't matter where it comes from, but you need one.
Yeah, I do like going to the early shop in Overgrowth on Necrobinder. Because a pretty important concept is you can like just buy a potion to solve your immediate problem instead of buying a card you don't really want to add to your deck. Like you'd rather just buy explosive potion instead of buying like high five. Then you get through that floor, you don't have a high five in your deck. You can kind of just like have some temporary solution for a problem that will not show up again, or until you find something better.
Yeah, I think that can be true, but I also think like Necrobinder wants to get in a place to snowball. Like that's kind of the most important thing in Act 1, including in Overgrowth. You get to do this very easily in Underdogs. Like farming 4 elites in Underdogs is trivially easy most of the time. But in Overgrowth, there's like some situations where you can't do that. So you do want to build a deck that can handle every elite, sometimes twice. Like you want to be able to kill 2 Frog Parasites or fight Bygone Effigy without taking any damage. And it's not that hard to get a deck that can do this. You just have to really be aware of how strong those enemies are, how much damage they do, and what your draw orders look like. As soon as you do solve the problem, like Necrobinder feels so smooth to play.
Okay, I think the only boss that I respect on Necro is Phantom. And part of it is very similar to Frog Parasite, where if you sit around for a while, it gets harder and harder to keep up. Like, his number goes up, but it also deletes your deck with a bunch of status cards. And we did sort of mention how strikes are really bad on this character, and they're basically the same thing. So imagine every deck cycle you're just adding like three strikes, right? You're going to get way worse at actually blocking and storing block, and so your damage goes down over time because your Ostia is going down over time. So you do sort of need to think about keeping pace. I do think like one thing that you really have going for you is that Doom is very good in that fight. It's a lot easier to just stack a bunch of Doom and kill it from a pretty high amount of HP than to do really anything else. Like something like Countdown can do a lot inside of boss fights. I think a lot of people sleep on Countdown. It's a very boring generic card that doesn't feel like it does a whole lot, but 9 damage a turn, 6 damage a turn is still very significant for that kind of thing, just to get you out of the fight faster.
Necrobinder has a hard time dealing with this like slippery stacks on Phantom, but Doom obviously goes through the slippery stack, so that's like your upside to the downside. But if you don't have that kind of upside with the Doom, then you can look for cards like Poke. Sadly, and you can like dredge back the poke and like some other combo pieces.
God.
You have to kind of keep the strikes in your deck, so you can get through the slippery stacks as quickly as you can, or as quickly as possible, so that your deck doesn't get diluted, so you can build up the Aussie and kill with Unleash. Like, you can't actually do that kind of thing with Necrobinder, like kill with Unleash against Phantom. You just have to get through the slippery stacks fast enough. And that can be pretty challenging if you don't have these like quick attacks like poke. So definitely look for things like that, like a Peck in Act 1 if you see that event. Just something to get through those slippery stacks will make all the difference in that fight. If you don't have Doom is the other solution.
Yeah, Liquid Bronze is a very good potion to prepare for Phantom because it's good for the slippery charges. So Liquid Bronze, Bronze Scales, like Mercury Hourglass, all the random passive damage relics, the parrying shield, all very good.
Everything else I kind of think you can just block to death, like most of the things. Like, you just need to be able to like kill a dude and then you stabilize. So maybe you need to pot, maybe you need to do something. Like, you can't actually completely ignore them. They will sort of wear you down and your Austie can't stack up. It's really just this core concept of understanding the pacing of fights when it comes to Necrobinder. And being able to know
Ceremonial Beast. Ceremonial Beast, like the charge every turn, like past, like from turn 2 onwards, that can kill your Austie over and over again. So if you're dealing damage like Doom or something, then you won't actually outpace that fight. Like, that fight will outpace you because it does like 5 more damage every turn or something. But as long as you get it below the 160 or 180 number, I think it's 160. If your deck can accomplish doing that, then after that point you can start outpacing it with your Austie, and it's not that hard. But that first initial phase, if you're just like doing Doom damage and you don't deal any real damage, then you will just die. Like that boss will melt your HP. So you have to respect that fight a little bit and think about like how your deck works in that fight. Doom isn't very good there.
If an enemy takes a turn off, you're usually pretty okay into it, like consistently.
Yeah.
Not like first phase of that fight, and also like the statue. But anytime an enemy takes a turn off, you can just store up your Austie block, and that's usually enough to get you through it.
Yeah, I guess Overgrowth bosses have slightly higher physical damage demand. Every underdog boss you can just doom your way through if you have the cards.
Yeah, it's like I was saying earlier, like the elites and the bosses both want you to deal damage in Overgrowth, and the elites and bosses both want you to block in underdogs. Just kind of the way it's designed. It's very clear, I think, that was intentional on their end, and that just kind of informs how Necrobinder approaches the axe. She's kind of the opposite of Clad, like in a lot of funny ways.
Okay, last character is Defect. Defect's like, I guess you kind of get chipped in the easy pools until you find a block card, and early game is just find Frost. That's kind of just Defect. Yes, find Frost. I do like some cards that open up the other synergy spaces, mostly the status package, like Boost Away. Not Turbo though, that one doesn't do anything, but a card that does something and it allows you to pick some status card, like Boost Away, Overclock. I think it's just those two. Or Power, Fight Through.
Fight Through.
That's like Defect early game, pretty much. And Orbs. I want to fill all my Orb slots ASAP, pretty much. And then Defect kind of just walks through everything because Frost deletes everything, and Lightning. Even Lightning early game is not so bad. Like a Lightning Rod, block and it's a ton of damage.
I like Lightning Rod. I think it's pretty solid.
I only like it Act 1. It's basically doesn't do anything afterwards, but it's good.
Yeah, it's just block and deal damage at the same time, which is something that like Defect really wants. Like, passive output is very powerful in this game. I mean, Necro is the same thing, and why Frost is so good. Having just the ability to say, I'm going to spend all my energy on block, and I'm still making progress in the fight, very important. If you're not making any progress in the fight, a lot of fights outpace you. I think in this game, more than Spire 1, everything kind of scales at different rates, but they do scale, so you can't actually just sit there and do nothing. Necro just happens to make progress by storing Austie block, and Defect happens to make progress by having these like random orbs sit around, like your Dark Orbs cooking or your Lightning Orbs are going, and you're chipping in for a little bit. It's like random damage here and there. But yeah, I think it's very similar to like Regent early game, right? Where you have 2 starter cards that don't really block. I mean, Falling Star sort of. But Defect has Zap and Dual Cast, and these cards don't say block. So the easiest way to fix this whole I walk into a fight and draw badly and take 10 is just add a 1 block card at least. But like the first block card, I basically just click on sight, I think.
Any of the good block cards, Charge Battery, Boot Sequence, very good, or any Frost Orb. Fight
Shadow
Through
Shield.
is... Okay, Fight Through for me is like the best card ever. I just take it floor 1. It's like freaking ridiculous for the entire run. One
That's
energy
Big
block
Sequence
13,
number
bro.
1, right? Big
Yeah.
Sequence probably number 1.
Ooh.
Or Glacier.
What
That's a fake
Gla-
card.
okay, Glacier.
I mean, Glacier. Yeah,
Glacier
Glacier
is.
is. the
See Glacier,
chill.
take Glacier. Okay.
Glacier chill,
Crimson
Glacier
Blur
chill.
said it like 8 years ago. We can just repeat his same words now.
Dude, I got offered
Glacier-
Glacier floor 1 time. I farmed 5 elites without resting.
best. So good. Especially in underdogs. Like, oh my god, what a card.
Yeah.
Disgusting. And Chill's kind of similar. Like, both of those cards are incredibly strong. Yeah, front-loaded block on Defect, especially in underdogs, very important. But Defect, to me, just kind of solves Act 1 in a similar way to Silent, like, very easily. You just find a few orb cards, like a Cold Snap and a Ball Lightning, and most of Act 1 kind of falls apart to that in both acts. Like, there's not a lot of differences between underdogs and overgrowth. Like, maybe I'll pick a Leap in Act 1 in underdogs. Well, maybe I'll, like, more strongly consider a Ball Lightning or a Sweeping Beam in overgrowth. But in general, both acts kind of fall in the same category of, like, I'm just going to take, like, the good orb cards and like a Glasswork and a Cold Snap and a Glacier and a Chill, like those like decent orb cards. And then the boss is all full to Defect's mechanics. Like, really all of the Act 1 bosses, I feel like Defect's mechanics do really well against. Like, Dark Orbs are very good against them.
Yep.
Frost Orbs are very good against them. The orbs in general are just super good in Act 1. Same as Spire 1, but even more so in this game. And yeah, the power of the orb. Embrace the power of the orb. It's strong.
If you think about what Defect's starting deck is really doing, and the way Defect functions as a character, you sort of have scaling baked in. Like, if you just have 3 lightning orbs sitting around from you playing your zaps, you know, that's scaling in a fight. And a lot of the characters don't really have that, like Necro a little bit, right? But you have this sort of scaling baked in, and so I feel like a really important idea on Defect is to solve this immediate problem, and usually that is, you know, the early turns of a fight before you have your Frost set up, before you have any of like your powers in play. Less so than Inspire 1. Like, this game, you don't really need his powers as badly, but still just getting your orbs down is a big part. And so that can be really easily fixed by just having relic support. I think that's the biggest thing for me is I really just want to farm Act 1 and get as many relics as I can, fight all the elites. And when I have relics saying help you in the early turns of the fight, like I have Anchor, I have Bag of Prep, I have, you know, Permafrost, whatever it is, to help me get through the early couple of rough turns, then everything goes really smoothly. So I feel like Defect for me is the farming character, or the character I really want to farm on the most.
I think Defect is the strongest character in Act 1. Defect has a lot of temporary focus cards, and they're all common. So you do, I mean, mostly they're common. So you do see them pretty often in Act 1. But from my experience, raw picking them without any Frost Orbs in the deck just end up losing you too much HP. Like, mostly the Focus Strike and the Hotfix. Without Frost, they don't do that much. It's like a little more damage on Lightning Orbs, which you don't have that many usually. So I don't really like picking them without Frost, and I feel confident enough in Defect's late game. You don't really need to speculate.
I do think
Right
Defect can
now,
struggle a little bit in the endgame to find damage. Like, you do need to think about it.
True.
It's not
one
like
Dark Orb.
Yeah, it's not hard to solve, but you do need to like plan ahead and be like, I do need a damage solve. It's not just like going to randomly happen. Like, your passive orb value goes down in the end game because the enemy's HP pool gets bigger. So you need a way to like scale it. If you see defrag, it's kind of over, right? Like, get 1 defrag, win the run.
Get 1 defrag, GG. Have 1 focus potion in the potion belt, GG.
That too. Focus potion is absurd. Like, probably the easiest way to just solve everything in the end game.
I think right now the temporary focus commons I don't want in my deck at all in early game. It's like a late game only thing. I've not. I don't see the purpose of them too much now because they just break my early turns, and I don't think the focus matters too much, and they're also upgrade hungry. Whereas just the raw damage, I guess, like some randomized compile driver or I don't know, Cold Snap or even Lightning Rod's just good enough early game. And I'd rather not have the common focus. I'd rather get, I know it's uncommon, but synchronize. Or just, I don't even need focus, I guess. Just have Dark Orbs, and then you don't need the focus. The enemy's dead. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Hotfix, I don't mind if I have a lot of Frost. So I guess sometimes early game you do have a lot of Frost and you can pick it.
You do pick a lot of
Then,
Frost.
I don't really
You keep picking Frost.
think I care. I pick less Frost now. My orbs are more varied, like less Giga Frost. And Frost kind of blocks early game already without the focus. It's been my experience so far. I've changed my defect play a little bit. and I have not.
For me,
really
if you
invested in
have like,
focus.
but like you already have Giga Frost, the temporary focus card are gonna be pretty positive. Like even outside of Act 1.
Yeah, in Act 1, I'm not looking for the temp focus. Like, I'm
Yeah,
just
not
looking
in
for
Act 1,
good
yeah.
orbs. Like, just the good orb cards. Like, you want your Null, you want your Darkness, you want your Glacier. There's a lot of them. And once you have them, then you can start thinking about how to build the overall engine of the Defect deck. Temporary focus fits into, like, a heavy draw engine. Like, you have, like, things like a Machine Learning, Skim, Cool-Headeds, like, those types of things. And then you have your hotfix to, like, pay off that draw. And, that's where those cards fit in, and that's like a late game idea. That's an engine part of your deck. You can add those cards early to like build towards that engine because it's a decent engine, but in early game you're not worried about your engine. You're just worried about having enough output per turn, which is what the orbs do. So you're just looking for the good orb cards, and like if you need front-loaded block cards like Charge Battery, Boost Away, Leap, like that type of thing, or if you need front-loaded damage cards like Sweeping Beam or whatever. And outside of that, you just want good orbs. It's pretty simple, really. Straightforward character in Act 1 for sure. It's more the way the Act 1 punishes you in the late game that can be kind of complicated on Defect sometimes.
Defect more than anyone, I think, and especially in Spire 1, but also in Spire 2, I see a lot of people just like overscaling like mad. Like I said, the early turns of the fight are the ones that are really the problematic ones. And if you're just picking all these cards that are great in Disneyland when you have everything down and you have a bunch of these kinds of cards, your early turns are going to be complete garbage. It's really easy, I think, to overscale on this character and just pick way too much stuff when you just don't need to go that hard. Like, you just may not realize how good, like, one darkness is. Like, I pick one darkness, and then I can just, like, play that a few times, and the fight's just going to end. And so I don't really need to go too crazy with everything. You do need to figure out how to, like, solve your scaling block and your scaling damage, but I think people don't have a good grasp on Defect's, like, ability to actually do those things with a small number of cards, I should say.
There was also one comment earlier that Jason made about Defect not having endgame damage. I think this is false. I used to have this issue, and then my deck stopped sucking. And every time I walk into a boss, the boss dies. There's so many ways to do damage on Defect, like some random ass barrage. Dark orbs. I have to see I have to see no dark orbs in the whole run, and then also barrage is good enough. Like Tesla coil now, that's a ton of damage. Random ass uproar, even like a jackpot that you buy in the shop. It's like what smokestack, it's trash to treasure. There's so many ways for Defect. Even like a bunch of hailstorms. I don't think
there's a lot of
any
ways.
damage on Defect.
I think
just fold.
What I was trying to really get at is it's very easy to cruise through the whole game without picking this stuff and then get to the end and then realize, oh, I needed that thing. Right? You just have to think about it. There's a lot of ways to get it, but it's very easy to just ignore it and wind up in an endgame where you just don't have
I want them in my deck anyway, though. The cards in my deck.
Because of how Defect scales, this is true in Spire 1 as well. Like Defect has like a engine type of thing going on all the time where like you're trying to use a certain part of your deck to put the other part of your deck in play, and once that happens, you win the fight. This is true for damage and block. It's just like kind of how a Defect works because of how orbs work. And once you master how to build all the different engines, given what cards are offered to you, like say you have to gain energy with Turbo, or like you have to draw cards with Skim or Cool-Headed, like you know exactly how these types of things like come together. And the way I've been feeling on Defect recently is that they come together really cleanly. Like boss damage is not a problem, block is not a problem. Like all these kind of engines just they are really good, especially with the buffs. So yeah, Defect feels really strong right now. Definitely agree with you on that. Open.
I wanted to say something else. I'm like very high for the overall status, the status package on Defect right now, especially with Young Gods. And if your Act 1 boss is like the Soulfish, you can just randomly pick your status card. Mostly the Compact or even sometimes Flat Cannon, but that's a little bit more niche. Or if you have Act 2 boss being Insatiable, you can just pick random iteration, even without any status cards in your deck.
Oh, I'm picking Compact for Insatiable. I'm going to compact those fancy escapes, and the guy's going to fold to my fuel. Like,
it's actually true, though. Like, Flat Cannon are good against Insatiable.
Yeah, I picked a raw Flat Cannon into that guy. People are like, oh, don't get rid of your statuses, whatever they're called. I don't remember. No escapes. Yeah. It's nonsense. Like, just make your deck good again, dude. The whole problem with this fight is it makes your deck crap. And now you just make your deck good and you win in 3 turns. Like, who cares? Way more down to pick, like, status cards now from, like, Release Patch. I think Release Patch, like, Hotfix was so crazy. I just never needed to do this thing. Like, I was winning very consistently just only doing Frost Focus stuff. Now I feel like I don't do that nearly as much. And the Hotfix is not entering my deck inside of Act 1. Also Aeon Glass, whatever you want to call it.
The Defect, overall game plan for me, I want to farm as many elites as possible, Act 1. So any Neon bonus that helps me with it will be clicked. So any of the previously mentioned front-loaded Neon bonus, very good. Transforms, I love a lot on Defect.
Love transforms.
There's a lot of random like synergy packages on Defect. It's hard to pick. But you transform into them, you can certainly just like build that package. It's pretty good.
VM literally read my mind. I was gonna say the same thing. It's like you just Nave was, I think, talking about this engine idea where you have like one half of your deck to play the other half, and that feels so true on this character. Now you just have one half of it randomly added in from transform, and you win, because then you can just pick the other thing with reckless abandon. It's so much smoother deck building when you have transforms to guide you a little bit. Before you kind of have to speculate a little bit. There's less ways to fully bridge into some archetypes, but all the archetypes feel really good to me, like once you get into them. So aside from just characters individually, I know that we talked a little bit about, before this podcast was recorded, like events inside of Act 1 and maybe across all characters, talking about a few common threads. How do we feel about the overall event pool inside of Act 1?
Act 1 events are very good. There are certain events in Underdog you just win the run. You see it, you win the run. Like there's that event that makes like all your blocks come upgraded. That was crazy.
For no lens.
Resonal lens.
Yeah, the lens.
Yeah.
It's like randomly all your block for 3 more. Like what the hell?
I think the potion's a little bit underrated at that event. Like obviously the Resonal lens is usually correct, but that potion is busted. That potion just says win a fight on it. Like it just says win a like specific fight. I've carried that potion for so long sometimes, like just like waiting for a specific fight where it's like a panic button, like I win. It's like a better fairy kind of.
When did you not click for no lens though? Isn't it just like always clicked? I've like
on Defect when I already
clicked
have like the front loaded block, like, and I don't want to ever add another
Okay,
block card. Like
fair.
I have like charge battery boot sequence. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna add orbs. Like I don't want to
Sure.
take Resonal lens on this character.
There's a couple of other really strong events that are like take these fights, get a really big thing, like the one that you fight the second phase of Frog Parasite, but you heal like 20 something 30 HP. Like that thing's crazy. That fight can be really scary if you see it like floor 2. But other than that,
Yeah.
like if
Yeah,
you're
floor
usually just healing out of it and getting potion in card, like that sort of thing, like or chance at potion, like just so strong. I mean, fights are usually just really, really good nodes anyways, and now this fight comes with a heal. Like that's stupid. The thing about that fight is if you have any AoE card, you're guaranteed to draw the AoE into those guys. Instead of in like Frog Parasite, you can like shuffle your AoE out and then like not have it for that phase, and then you get really owned. Like there's not as many super low roll draw orders because you know you're gonna draw your whole deck as is against like a known quantity of enemies. So it's really easy to just look at that fight and then ask, do I have enough damage in first deck cycle to like reliably stabilize? And if the answer is yes, you're probably chilling. But I've seen like
The fun fact about that fight is that the heal isn't actually like it's not a generic heal; it's a rest. So like it bases on your max HP. If you have a Regal Pillow, you'll get extra healing.
very cool.
Wait, what the
Didn't
hell?
know that.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't know that.
it's literally a rest.
Wait, it's a campfire with a fight. What?
Speaking of the fights, the Punch Constructs fight is like extremely difficult.
It is.
That thing's so hard.
Yeah.
I'm actually so scared. Now, there's one event I want to ask about. It's the spoils map one.
Oh,
I think that's like the actual big decision event. Like, do you take the map or the potion? But you lose health with the potion. I have no clue, by the way. It just surprised me.
my vibes tell me if you're actually trying to play correctly, the spoils map is pretty bad. Because it also affects map generation in Act 2, right? And the map is kind of weird, and you don't guarantee a shop after you get 700 gold or whatever,
600, but
600 gold. You're like adding a curse and with like not guaranteed payoff. But I collect the map every time.
it's weird though,
Rich.
because like it's one of those things where if I see it and I have some optionality in my pathing right after I see that, like I could dodge the elite and take the spoils map, I'd probably do it because you can just use the gold to get the power from the elite, right? Instead, like you just spend the money in the store, you just get it later. Like you can path a little bit more safely and conservatively, maybe is a better word. Not take as much risk and like take less fights, but like you're cashing out such a huge reward. Like 600 gold is essentially 3 relics, if not more. I I guess you can compare it to 2 rare relics, like 2 old coins or whatever. That's so strong, and you can choose how you spend it. It seems so broken. Oftentimes you're not allowed to. I feel like there's definitely maps where you can't, but I want to try and click it if I can.
I think what I would say about the spoils map event is it's the most well balanced of the quest events, because it actually does show you an alternate downside. Like you lose HP to get the potion, which feels terrible. Like losing 8 HP to get a potion that you don't need because you already have potions, like just feels bad. So you want to click the spoils map, but the spoils map itself is a very high variance thing because it's like you can walk into fights, lose more HP because you have the spoils map in your deck, like the curses are just naturally high variance. They increase the variance of your deck. And then also there's a huge amount of variance in how you can spend the gold. Like you can get your 600 gold, can't spend the gold in Act 2 at all. And then you go to Act 3, and then you can't spend the gold in Act 3 until like later on. And then you go to the shop and it's bad. And then you're like, yeah, I've carried this curse for this long. I lost all this HP. I lost these guys or the elites. I didn't get to fight the elites because of the curse and all the HP that I lost from it. And then I didn't even get payoff for it. And then sometimes you get huge payoff for it. But in essence, it's just kind of like and this is how all the quest cards are, except for the bird. The other quest cards, like the history course and the spoils map, are just kind of like the game turns into this mini game of I get the spoils map, I make it to the chest, I make it to a shop, I win the run, sort of. Usually, if you get to the shop after getting the 600 gold, you're gonna win. So that's what the game becomes instead of becoming like a normal game of Slay the Spire, which is kind of interesting, but not sure if I like it or not. I think it definitely can be correct sometimes, unlike the history course, which is just like you carry a curse for a little while, it has a decent amount of variance to it. Or you can take $100. Okay, I'll take $100. Sure. Like I like the balance of the other one, the spoils map, a lot more because the alternate option can be just bad. You lose 8 HP for nothing. Well, the alternate option in the history course one is just always good, universally in every situation. It's kind of gross in my opinion, but
history course is disgustingly broken though. So if you're allowed to carry it or you see it like towards the end of the act, it's gross.
It's so fun as well. Freaking double play my cards.
Yeah.
I hate how it turns the game into like this. Make it to the first event, no act 3, win the run. Like that's what
yeah, it pretty much is that. It's so much output, like just ridiculous.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Is that better than a boss relic?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of boss relics. Not diadem, but a lot of boss relics.
There's literally a boss relic that says like the first card you play every combat, double it. And this one says do that, but like every turn, basically. Like, what the? I know you had to carry a curse for like an act, but like sometimes you see it at the end of the act. I think it's worth noting in Act 1, like spoils map at the end of Act 1, way easier to carry than like early Act 1. Early Act 1 is like really hard. And usually early Act 1, you actually don't have pots yet. So like it's beneficial to click the bottom. And you can't justify like ruining your whole act. But I see it like 3/4 the way through the act, like probably just clicking spoils map. It's not going to brick me that much. Like you usually have some curse tolerance, and if you're not carrying it for an act and a half, and you're just carrying it for like half an act or like 3/4 of an act, you're kind of chilling.
But there's this Act 1 event, just like spend all your gold, transform to. Assuming you're not having an Act 1 shop, how much gold are you willing to spend?
Already clicked.
Yeah, it's really broken. It's disgusting.
Like 150
more.
Wow, I was gonna say 150.
Nah, I spend like 200
I got
plus
no
sometimes.
I think I'm happy to spend 200 on 2 transforms.
Yeah.
Well, like if you have 200 gold, you're probably planning around a shop like at some point. Like you're not really going to see that event with 150 or 200 plus gold and be like not immediately going into a shop probably because you probably have a shop bonus, like some kind of gold.
Well, if it's later in the act, like after the
I
chest,
think the most I
or
spend is 160.
Yeah, if it's later in the act, maybe. But if it's later in the act that transforms, it's like a bit dicey. But I'd say 150 is like easy. Like past that point, it's like more specific. Like there are going to be a lot of spots with like 200 plus gold where you're not going to want to spend the gold on 2 transforms. Yeah, it is crazy though, and it's definitely a lot more balanced now than it was when it was just 100 gold for that transform too. That was stupid.
That was stupid.
You can get a mega deal sometimes though, and it's like a lot less. Like if you get it for like 100, 120, like every time. 300 basically never. I think that's like the limit for me. Like 250 I'll definitely have to think a lot.
Oh yeah, okay, wait.
It's probably
One last thing before we sign off.
Okay, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time. This has been the Spire Cast episode 3.
Thank you.
please make sure you leave a comment asking for more crash out from Nave. This is very important, guys.
Very
See ya.
important.
Or less if you want less.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.